Hi, I'm Airbad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. I've been showcased a couple of times by Hell Hades, and I'm often asked if I make content. I haven't previously. This is my first video, so forgive the inexperience. I don't have every champion in the game, nor do I build any unnecessarily. I have been brutally efficient throughout my raid experience, culminating in the unlocking of Romantu, as you can see on the screen. I think I'm the first player to have done it free to play, but who knows? I'm sure in the comments I'll be told otherwise. What I can bring is experience in beating every piece of content with a relatively restricted roster. I have always been a keen theory crafter and enjoy self-imposed challenges. I'm often asked by my clanmates for advice on Griffin. It seems to be one of those Doom Tower bosses that regularly causes grief. This video aims to help those who want to beat it for the first time, as well as those looking to farm it more consistently. The biggest mistake I've typically seen is that players look to win the DPS race with hard-hitting, attack-based champions and damage-amplifying debuffs, going gung-ho. My advice, particularly when trying to beat it for the first time, is to bring mostly defensive-based champions with as few buffs and debuffs as possible, as well as no-turn meter manipulation. Passive is your friend here, in particularly Syl and Drexar, who are both accessible to everyone. Other champions with great passives for this fight include Doom Priest, Iron Brago, Norog, Brogni, Helior, Godseeker, and Vogoth. Right, let's take a look at a few runs. The first team I ever used to beat Griffin was an Iron Brago lead, Drexar, Syl, Doom Priest, and Norog. This follows that philosophy of defensive-based champions stacked with sustain and damage mitigation. As for gearing, I had Iron Brago and Drexar in lifesteal, Syl and Doom Priest in relentless, and Norog in offsets to add some damage. With team presets, this is now even safer, as you can turn off Doom Priest's A3. If we focus on the core of Syl and Drexar, the other three champions are very interchangeable, and almost any combination of defensive and support-based champions, following that ethos of minimum buffs, minimum debuffs, and absolutely no TM control. Equally, I'd avoid Ally Protection and Guardian sets for this fight, as you really want any champion falling. You really don't want any champion falling below 50%. All the damage needs to be shared equally. So if we just keep watching, you'll see Doom Priest keeps cleansing off the debuffs as they come back to us. We generally have not too many buffs in the team. We will get buff stripped each time by the Griffin, but because we have minimum buffs, it doesn't do a huge amount of damage. It doesn't really matter too much. We could, of course, manual this and time the increased defense from Brago to land after the buff strip to maximize our own damage mitigation, to maximize our damage, and to enable Brago to then apply decrease attack after the debuff transfer has been done by Griffin. So let's just come back at the end of the fight and we'll see how the team got on. And there we have it. Relatively comfortable win, even with Norog getting low towards the end, falling below 50%, taking the additional hit from Griffin. We could have lost Norog, wouldn't really have been a problem. Syl would have revived, as I haven't turned off Syl's revive, but to be honest, it's probably safer to turn Syl's revive off, as if Syl revives the champion at half health. Unless that champion or Syl takes another turn before the Griffin does, that champion will almost certainly go under 50% again and get nuked again in a vicious cycle. Even more so, with Syl applying ally protection on herself, it's highly likely Syl will take additional damage, potentially fall under 50%, and be killed as well. It's easier to fight this with 4 people than it is 3. You don't want to lose Syl. Right then, if we go and edit the team, we say take out Norog entirely. I know I've said we can bring in other defensive champions, preferably with lifesteal. Problem is I don't actually have any built, so we'll do what we can. The better way for me to demonstrate how interchangeable that 5th slot is, really for anyone that can bring in either a good passive, some damage mitigation, is let's just run it with 4 people and we'll see how we get on. You will notice at the beginning of each of these Griffin fights, when Drex attacks Griffin first, I do get a full team TM drop, which is coming from Drexar having Evil Eye, which is not optimal for this fight. However, I have geared Drexar, I configured Drexar. Not as comfortable without Norog's passive, but still gets the job done. We can try yet another team. Another good champion for that 5th slot is in fact Brogni, a fusion we had not so long ago. Excellent champion overall, brings in a lot of utility, great sustain, block debuffs, works perfectly for this fight. Let's see how this one goes. In an ideal world, we do want Brogni to do his block debuffs, to do his A3 after the buff removal. So right now, ideally, he would be adding his block debuffs. That way we'll have block debuffs on when Griffin does the debuff exchange, and we wouldn't have taken any debuffs whatsoever. Since we have Doom Priest in this run, it's not And there we have it. Right, so the team I actually tend to run uses Helior. Mine is actually kind of built in a bit of a mishmash way, halfway between being arena, halfway not. I should probably actually rebuild him, and I think this team could do it even faster. but this tends to be the setup that I go for, and I actually bring in Lydia for this to bring in some decreased defense. We can really maximize that damage, use Helia's debuff transfer back to the Griffin so I won't keep the debuffs. Everyone's pretty much in resistance build because the combination of people being used in Eternal Dragon, in Bommel, in various other parts of the game means that in this composition, only Brago does not have resistance. Let's see how it goes. We'll come back at the end again and we'll chat about how we got on. Obviously the waves go much faster, we got decreased defense weaken on an AoE basis, the waves are done and dusted nice and easily. As I mentioned before, you can see the exact issue right there with Helior, in that he is currently in a Guardian set and takes additional damage from the damage being taken by every one of his team members. It's definitely a bit of a high risk move. He was in Guardian set as I originally intended on using him in Arena, but kind of comfortable throwing him in anywhere, and he kind of gets the job done, even in this suboptimal build. I think I'm going to move him to a damage dealing lifesteal build, which would be quite nice for both Griffin, for Nether, and potentially even Hydra in the future. We'll have to see how that ends up looking. There you can see the beauty of Helior. We took all the debuffs, transferred back to us, decreased defense, weaken all of the nasties. Helior throws it straight back to Griffin, and we just carry on. New fastest time, new lowest turns. Right, last of all, let's go and have a look at some of the builds. Key ones being Drexar, as I said, in lifesteal. He's in a relatively jack of all trades, got good level resistance, good level accuracy, decent speed, good survivability. The idea here being, if I need higher resistance, I could just swap the banner back to resistance, or if I need the accuracy, I keep it on accuracy. A bit of a gear swap there that enables me to flip between being in a high resistance or a high accuracy build with minimal silver investment, which is a big thing I find when trying to do as much content as possible. We're always short on silver, particularly free to play. You don't necessarily have the ability to run endless spider and have massive silver reserves. So that's something I'm always really cognizant of, is I want to be able to adapt the builds for as fewer gear swap pieces as possible. Likewise, when I first did this, when I first did Griffin, Syl was not in a high resistance build. Since I did Eternal Dragon, I've been in a high resistance Syl build ever since, to the point where I have a resistance chest and resistance banner. In Relentless, still again decent defense, good HP, very good speed, and critically that high resistance, so that even on Eternal Dragon I won't take the debuffs and I will have my skills off cooldown. We'll come back to Eternal Dragon in another video, as that's another Doom Tower boss that often gets questions. Iron Brago used to be in my regular counterattack clan boss team. Again, we're talking lifesteal with a speed set to supplement it. He used to run on a 4-3, so he's particularly quick at 252 speed, 100% crit rate, enough accuracy to land the debuffs. Again, in Doom Tower, on some stages, 262 is a bit shy, so we could move Drexar to the lead and really get a bit more confidence that we'll land those debuffs. Again, good defense. HP's a bit low for this content, but it was an old clan boss build. Doom Priest, nothing special, quick, good defense, good HP. Doesn't need any other skill, any other stats whatsoever. You're just looking for HP, defense, and speed, preferably in Relentless. Relentless is a great gear set for Doom Priest. Haven't even finished rolling up all the gear. Supplementing with an Immortal set just to give a little bit more HP, a little bit of a passive heal, just make her a little bit tankier. So there we go. That is it. I hope this helped. And for those of you who actually stayed to the end of my very first video I've ever made, again, I apologise. It's surprisingly nerve-wracking recording yourself. Unusual experience. Thank you and good luck. Please let me know if this has helped you in any way, and good luck.